Hi all, in this video we are just going to see a small example form which is created using Visual Studio 2019, and in this form the main aim is that we need an address form with name, street address, city, state and zip code. Okay, so the final form will look something like this. So when you enter these details like your name, address, city, state and zip code, and when you click on the display, the corresponding information has to be fetched from the form and it has to be displayed in this description area. So this is what we are going to do today. So for doing this, you need to initially start a Windows form application. Okay, so once you start the Windows form application, as usual, give a proper name for it. And once you open that in the Visual Studio, you will get all this. You can see all these details in the Solution Explorer. So I'm going to open the Visual Studio right now. So I have already done this. So it is here. This is the mailing label form. So when I open that in the Visual Studio, from the view I'm just taking the Solution Explorer. So when you see the Solution Explorer, you could see the mailing labeling form, and then its corresponding properties, its resources, the form1.cs. So when I click on the form1.cs, it's just taking some time. Yeah, so this is the form. Okay, this is the form which we need to design, and then we have this form1.resx and this program. So when you click on the program, this is the program, and then when you click on the form design, so this is where the complete design has been done. So this is the complete form. So when you add each and every object onto the form1.designer.cs will automatically create the code. So the code, you are not writing this particular code. According to the field values and the property values which we give in the each and every field, its corresponding code will be generated in this form1 design. Okay, and when you click on this CS file, say if I'm clicking on this is the file where we code. Say if we want to add something onto this form, so this is where we are doing it. So the code where I need to, this is a mail labeling form and I need to fetch the details from each and every text field which is here, and I want to display all these things are basically written on here in the form.cs. Okay, so and program.cs is where it's like the main function. It's where the execution exactly gets started. So this is how it basically looks like. So hope you understand. So there is something called form.cs, form1.cs, where you know form1 here, the form1.cs. So when you click on here, when you see the code, you could clearly see what all things we require from that form. And then you have program.cs where the main execution basically starts from. So here is the run function which helps you to start the form, and there is something called form1.designer.cs. So each and every time when we add the objects onto the form, the corresponding code will be generated here. So every time when you start your project, you have to make sure that you have to go to the project properties and make the startup object in the application field to the corresponding file. So that means here, this is your Visual Studio window. Here you have to go to the project. So when you click on the project, this is your mailing label form properties. Click on this button. So when you click on that, you could see the application. So in the application, sometimes the assembly name and the default namespace will be exactly what you want. Otherwise, you have to rename it. And here, so this is where you have to, so your startup object, so what you want you to do, you want to basically run this particular form, right? So you have to, in the drop down window, your corresponding program will be, so you need to start execution from the program.cs. And whose program.cs? Yes, mailing label forms program.cs. So that's why mailing label form dot, it's a dot operator basically, and from the program.cs file. So that's what it shows you. So this is your startup object. So you should make sure that where you need to start your start execution, right? So that's what this shows you. And your output type has to be an Windows application. So it's an application which is which will run using the Windows. So that's all. So this definitely has to be done. So that's what it is shown here. So you need to do that. And if you want, if you click shift F7, shift and 1 second, shift and F7, so it is saved. So that's all. So this is one thing which you have to definitely do. And then again, going back to the form. So once you are planning to start, what you have to do is you need to click on the form. Okay, so once you click on the form, basically when you start it initially, you will get a plain form, like what we have seen in the last class, right? So now you have some options like Server Explorer and the toolbox. So we are going to extensively use this toolbox. Okay, so in this toolbox you will have everything. In that, we are going to mainly use a label. If you want a label, you can simply click on it and you can drag it here. So that label will be formed here, right? So it's just like a drag and drop kind of a stuff. And when you click on it, there is something called properties. So for each and every object that we put onto this particular form has got a property and its corresponding value. Even for the form, you have a property. So how will you know that? Okay, so you have this form. When you click on the right click on the form, you have something called properties. Okay, so when you click on the properties, there is a properties window which appears. So this is the properties windows for the form. Okay, so when you go down, you have accessibility, you have appearance, you have so many different things. So this text, where this is called as the form 1. Say if I change the name here, like mailing label form, you can see the difference where it happens. So you could see the name actually changed here. The name of the form is now changed to mailing label form. So this is one thing which you have to keep in mind. So now we have seen the name of the labeling form is changed to mailing label form. In the same way, say if you click on this label, this is basically a label which is actually taken from the toolbox. And if you simply drag and drop this label, okay, when you click on that, you could see the properties. So whenever you click on some objects here, it will show its properties there. Okay, I'm just deleting that. See, if I click on the name, okay, so you could see that label. So if you simply click on the label, put the label here in this particular form, it will look like this. So I have made the label with few changes to look like this way. Okay, so I'm now deleting this label file. But say when I click on this label, so this is actually showing me the label 1 properties. Okay, how did I understand that this label 1 is nothing but name? Yes, because I have changed the name, okay, the text name to name. So that means that this label is corresponds to this one, and the properties of this label is basically shown here. So you have so many property values, accessibility, as I told you in the last session. You have so many things here. So what all things you need to change? Yes, you can change the name to label 1. Okay, and then I am changing the size because I want it pretty big. Okay, so I can change the size here. Then what else can I do? I can actually change the 1 second. What is it? Yeah, see here there is something called border style. So when you simply when you click on here, there is a drop down. So if I'm making it as none, okay, it will have a different appearance. Okay, so now if I'm clicking on fixed 3D, it will give you an effect of 3D effect. It will give you a 3D effect. Say I'm from the toolbox, I'm taking a label here, I'm putting a label here. Okay, so this is actually the properties of which one? The label file. I am now currently showing you the property of the label which I have just copied. Okay, I'm just simply copying just to show you how it works. So there are so many different things in that I want to change. So by default the border style will be null. So I'm going to change the border style of this label file. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to change it into fixed. So what happened? See, it looks like, it's more engraved into that form. Okay, so that style you could see. And if you want to try the other one, what is that? Sorry, it has moved. One second. So border style. Yeah, the border style. So no, it's in the form now. Sorry, that's why. So it is the border style. The border style. If I'm changing it to fixed single, it will look like this. So with one single box, okay, it will look like that. And then again I'm clicking on it, I'm again uh, changing back to fixed 3D, so it will look like an engraved one. Okay, now I am clicking on it. Then again I am going to change the text name. I don't want it to look as text name. Okay, I'm just writing it as show. So now the name is actually changed to show. Then again going down, if I want I can change this label name. So this is how I will, so when I design in the form design.cs, this is the name which will be used. Okay, so I will actually label underscore show, because I want to know from my this thing to understand that it is for the label which I have used for the show button, sorry, so show label. Then there are so many other things. Say if I want to change the auto size, I want to change the auto size to false, so I could do that if I want, or if I want to make it into true, it is possible. So all these things are possible. And then that means that I can say if I'm making it into the size, so if I am making this false, I could change here. Say I'm changing it to 75 comma say 27. Okay, so you could see this will change now. Sorry. So I need to go back. I think it is not changed there. Wait. Auto. Yeah, it is still true here. Making false. Okay, so when I'm giving false, what happens is that you can actually change the size. Okay, you can change the size. If you are making it true, you cannot change it. So that's what I just wanted to tell you. Okay, so if you change it, what happens is that if to false, you can actually adjust the size. Okay, so according to how you adjust, what happens is that its size get updated here. Okay, so you will get all those shape things which will help you to make the shape. So that's possible by this size making into false. It will allow you to realign or readjust the size. So this is how it is. So each and everything like that. Okay, so the address, so this is all labels only, and these are the ones which are basically used as button. So here, so I have clicked on the display button, so this is the button properties which is shown here. So when you go back, you could see the name is basically display. So how the name has to be used in the design, I have used it as button display. So when you click on this, see this is the button display, see here, so this is the code for it. So this is the code for it. So here they will basically use the name which you have actually given there. Okay, so that's all it is. So here it is, button display. So here you could see that button display. So when you click on the button display, what has to be done, that is actually given there. So but the name which is used in the form design is this one, form1.designer is basically button display. Okay, so these are some things which you can keep in mind. Here also you can adjust the size, and there is something called an auto size which I have made it to false so that I can adjust the size of the buttons. So these are few things which you have to keep in mind. Another major thing which you have to understand here is that we have used a picture manager here. So this is actually a picture box. So in the toolbox there is something called a picture box which is available. So when you put the picture box here, say if you're putting the picture box here, okay, so this is small picture box. Okay, so this is a new picture box which I have put here. So when you go here, there are so many different properties which are actually given here. So you could actually I could use like picture box for example. So I'm just giving example, picture box example. Okay, so this is the name which I will be using in the design. Okay, and then what I need to do is that, say I can actually scroll up and I can take some image. So there is something called system.drawing. Okay, so this is where you have to use this. Say if the system.drawing is not available here, okay, you need to add it as a reference through the properties. That means that you have to click on the form, then you need to click on the there is something called add reference. Okay, form dot yeah, where is it? Yes, one second. So when you click on the label form, there is something called what is it, maybe in the properties or dependencies, I think in the dependencies, yeah, there is something called project reference. So you can add through the project reference this system. Say if you add this, you can actually go to the projects, and or you could browse and add the needed things here. So this is something which you have to understand. So there is an option like that, but otherwise basically when you click on the picture, what you could do is you can actually uh, see here this one. So I'm just clicking on the system. So there is a browse button, so it will take you to this window, and say I'm importing another image which is there in my system. So say if I'm taking the image BP some, okay, image, so this is the image which I could take, and I'm just giving OK. So what happens is that now this image, you can see whether this image has been uploaded from this form1.resx. So form1.resx, okay, there is something called this one. Okay, so when you click on this, and there will be a small arrow button which comes over here. So whenever you upload an image, all those images will be there in the form1.resx. Okay, so whichever images which I have used for this particular form, all the images will be in form1.resx. okay, hope you understood. Now I'm just going, if I simply click on form1.design, it will come here. So this is the form where I want that image. So what I will do is, when I click on it, you could see a small arrow here. Okay, you could see a small arrow here. So from here, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to choose the image. Okay, I'm going to yeah, so basically it should yeah, import. I am just importing the BP image. Okay, so when I import the BP image, it will be shown here, and if I want to fit it to the screen, I could just auto size it so that it will be it will be taking that image and you can adjust it according to, or you could see, you could click over here, and you could take it to normal. Okay, so what happens is that it will come over here and you can place it at wherever you want. Okay, so this is how this works, and this is about the picture image. So if you want a picture image, that will be there in form1.rs, and you could click on this arrow and basically choose the image, or you can actually use it from here. So now it appears here basically. So it is actually imported, and once it is done, it is imported. Once it is imported, it will be there. So next time you can start using it. First time you will have to do it by yourself manually. And the other one which you have I wanted to tell you is that uh, whenever you click, okay, whenever you click a text box or an image box, there will be an arrow which comes over here. So it will ask you for whether it has to be a multi-line or not. So name, basically we don't need multi-line, but for addresses, sometimes we will need multi-line, so click on that. Okay, and here also say this is a description where we have to have multi-line, so click on the multi-line. So this option is available here. Now I'm just deleting this because it's not needed for us, and I'm just saving it. Now regarding the code, okay, where do we need to code this? Okay, fine. So our aim is like if I give cine, if I give address, if I give city name, everything, that has to be displayed here. That is what I want. So where it has to be programmed, yes, I need to program it in my display. Okay, so when I click over here, I don't need to code anywhere here. Okay, only thing where I need to code is that when I click on the display button, whatever details I have actually given in the other text boxes, that has to be taken and that has to be printed back to me. That is what I want. Okay, so when you look at this, okay, the picture box, okay, so when you look at this, so I'm going back to this here. So if I click on this picture box, I'm just giving a what is that mailing program. Okay, message box, it will be. So there is only very few coding which is done over here. So in the display button display dot net underscore click. So when you click on the display, what you have to print. So string buffer. So there is a buffer which is basically taken. It's a local variable and it's a string. That means it can contain many sentences. So buffer is equal to mailing label. So something which comes between the codes will be printed as such. So mailing label. And say I want 2 new lines. That means my after that mailing label I should get 2 new lines. So it is basically given as plus is the concatenation operator. So environment.newline plus environment.newline. What happens is that mailing label will be printed and then the 2 lines it will come down. Then what has to be done? Yes, I need to put something into the buffer. So whatever is there in the buffer, so already mailing label is there in the buffer, plus I need to print name. Where I need to get the name from? I need to take the name from text name 1. So when you click over here, when you click over this one and check on to the properties, okay, so I'm just clicking over this form1.design, and in form1.design, wait, I'm getting the what is that solution explorer, and I'm also getting the properties window. Okay, where is the properties window? Yeah, the properties window is here. Okay, so when I look at the properties window, I'm just clicking on this. Okay, so what happens is that when you scroll down, it is actually text name 1. Okay, txt name 1. Okay, and when you go back to the code, when you go back to the code, it is like txt name 1 dot text. So whatever text I have written in that text box, that text will be taken and then again new line. Again in the same way, whatever is there. So already mailing label is there, whatever name is there, that everything will be there in the buffer. That plus address, that plus city. So how did I get this text address dot txt? So when I go back to the form here, now I am in the properties of the text address. So basically the name is text address dot text. So whatever is there in the text address dot text, whatever you write as text, that has to be taken. Then when you click on the city label, if you see, it is text city, so that will be taken. Then text state will be taken, text zip will be taken, everything will be taken. Okay, now going back to the code, when you click here, so everything is taken and then you are actually giving a new line. Okay, and then finally what you have to do, you need to basically display whatever you have actually taken. All this contents which you have taken has to be displayed here in this box. So when I click on this box, just check the name. What is the name of it? Just scroll down and check. It is text display. So text display. So what I'm going to do is that I have taken all this and put it in the buffer. So text display dot text, whatever is there in the text display dot text, that has to be, whatever is there in the buffer, that has to be outputted into the text display. Okay, so that is what I'm doing. I have gathered all this information and it is there in the buffer. Now what am I doing? I am taking the text display and I am actually putting all those values which I got gathered from all this labels into this particular text area. So that is what I am doing. So that is one example, and there is one more small thing which you have actually programmed here, that I will show you when I run. Okay, So I'm just slowly closing this. I'm just going to run. So in order to run your program, you can click F5. Okay, F5 means it will run your program. So in order to run your program, and you will get your form displayed. Say I'm giving the values here, say Sini, Raj, Pulari, okay, and then I'm just giving the address as say Isa town, okay, and then I'm giving I'm not okay, I will give it in a proper way. So Isa town, okay, and then say I'm giving it as Manama, and say I'm giving it as say Bahrain, okay, and I'm just giving the zip as 815, okay, and I'm going to display. So when I display, all this information will be given, okay. So this is one example, okay. Now there is one more thing which is actually written. Okay, one more thing which you have to do is that when you click on the image, something else is popping up here. So when you click on this image, it has to give you an output like mailing label program your name. Okay, written by your name. So this has to be given. So this is the pop-up window which we have not done yet. Okay, so when going back to the program, okay, when going back to the program, if you look at this program, okay, if you look at this program, you could see I have actually done something on the, say here I will write, by say Sini Raj Pulari, written by say Sini Raj Pulari, or you could even make it as, you're getting it, so written by Sini Raj Pulari, and you are saving it. Okay, so what happens is that when you run this particular program, okay, it will build and it will ask you for the questions, say A, B, C, D, and some addresses, and say some city and some thing and some code, okay, and you are displaying it. Everything will be displayed here, and when you click on it, you could get the information that mailing label program which is written by. So it's just an information which is given to you. So this is what it is. So as of now, we have not programmed exit. So exit means we have to just come out from this particular program. That's all you have to do. So that basically you can try by yourself. Okay. So this is the small program. So we have basically done a program where you have actually built a form. So an mailing form has been filled. So you could just imagine, say when you are doing it in the real time for a particular application, then you can actually build your own application according to your way, and you can build forms like this by using the Visual Studio 2019. So in a form, each and everything which you put are basically objects. So they are all objects which you actually putting it, and you are instantiating it by calling it through the programs. That is what you have done basically in this. Okay, so everything is basically addressed as an object. So this is something which you have to understand here. Okay, so hope you understood the program. So you can try by yourself, and if you have any doubts, you can always get back to me. Thank you.